I moved to Prosper 7 years ago, and shortly thereafter, I kind of scratched my head and I thought, I wonder if I moved further up north, Preston Road as far as I should have. Please don't tell my mayor that. But I do love the city of Celina. Beautiful topography. Y'all have plenty of elbow room here. And the future is bright for Celina, and the sky is the limit with your land size and everything. So exciting things are ahead for the city of Celina. My name is Lieber, like Ralph introduced me, and Jerica invited me actually to be here today. We ran into each other at the Prosper Bank in Prosper. And I'm not going to get political. I'm going to respect the wishes of Ralph and your group. But I do want to say that I am in a race. I have 2 opponents, and I am the strongest candidate for this, and I'm going to tell you why I say that. My record and body of work and what I've done at the local, county, regional, and state level regarding issues such as transportation, infrastructure, property rights, and regionalism will vet that out. So the word on the street is there's 3 fine candidates, conservative candidates running. That is absolutely the case. But people say there's no difference. It doesn't matter. Whoever gets in there is going to be good. I disagree. I think there's a vast difference in the candidates. So I urge you, as a conservative leader, to please vet this race. It's a most important one. So a little bit about me. I grew up in Richardson, and I am the daughter, a proud daughter, of a World War II veteran. My dad served in the Navy and in the Air Force Reserves after he married my mother. My mother was a working mom when other moms stayed at home during the 1960s and 1970s, and I was a latchkey kid, but I survived, and I'm proud of that. It made me very independent, and I loved growing up in Richardson. I graduated Richardson High School in 1980, and then I got a degree in English, a BA in English from the University of Texas at Dallas. And shortly thereafter, my first real job was with the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation. That was in the 1980s and early 90s when all the banks were failing. That was a crazy time, but it was very exciting and interesting work. I was at a liquidation office in Addison, and when a bank would fail, we would kind of coordinate the new bank taking over, and then we would liquidate any bank assets that the new bank did not want to purchase, anywhere from loans, rolling stock, furniture, fixtures, and equipment, and we just had different ways of liquidating these assets, and it was very exciting. I don't know, and scary at the same time. But some weekends there would be 3 and 4 banks closing at the time. That was my first real job. I married in 1994, and on February the 3rd, just in a few days from now, I will have been married to my husband, Mark Lieber, for 20 years. He had 3 little children when I married. They were stair steps, 3, 4, and 7. People thought I was out of my mind for marrying him, but it was the best decision I've ever made. We have a 4th daughter together. Her name's Andrea, and she's a senior at Prosper High School. And so what happened, we lived in Plano. We initially lived in Dallas, Richardson Schools, moved to Plano, lived there for 6 years, and then moved to Prosper 7 years ago. And when I moved to Prosper, it was a culmination, kind of a perfect storm came together. I was so grateful to move to the town of Prosper because it was a throwback to my growing up years in Richardson. It was a little slower pace, a lot slower pace than Plano, and people really drew in with each other. You knew your neighbors, kids played out in the front yard, and it was a great sense of community. And I was so grateful for that. I thought, I have got to find a way to give back to this wonderful town of Prosper. And then that coincided with the emergence of the Tea Party. And I attended a Tea Party rally the summer of 2008 out at South Fork Ranch, and got on a email list there, met another lady in my town, and we kind of combined forces and started the Prosper Tea Party. And today that Tea Party label can be dangerous because sometimes people are afraid of me. They think, oh, you're going to be one of those slashing cutters at all costs. And I'm like, no, I take a reasoned, measured approach to all issues, do my homework, and then come to a decision. But the wonderful thing about the Tea Party is the focus that we put on our personal Tea Party there in Prosper. We have 2 issues of focus: education, of the Constitution and individual rights. And then we decided we're going to take that information into the streets and we're going to activate. We started going to town council meetings. We started going to transportation meetings. We go to school board meetings, and we would encourage people to involve themselves in the process and engage their duly elected reps. I think that has been why we are so effective, why the Prosper Tea Party has such a good name and are respected, because we do engage and activate. So when you vet me, you're not going to see a string of Republican clubs behind my name, although I have been a lifelong Republican, but I have taken my conservative voice where there's not conservative voices. You know, you'll go to a regional transportation meeting and they're there to hear from 800, to represent 800,000 people, and there'll be anywhere from 10 to 12 people in the audience. And who is there to listen, to report? I've taken that mantle. I do that. I would dare to say I am the only grassroots activist in Collin County that has really taken up transportation. People say, the numbers are too big. I don't even know what you're beginning to talk about. Well, I didn't either when I started. But you know what? Where there are big numbers, that's your first clue. That's where you need to tune in. You understand that? And with transportation, a city, town, or county can live or die by transportation because people are flocking here. They want to come here. They want to buy homes. They love the quality of life, cost of living, but they've got to be able to get around. So you've got to be pragmatic in your approach, and that's what I've tried to do. And so, I don't always have time to attend the conventional conservative clubs and meetings because I'm actually in the trenches out doing the work. I also wanted to say, once I started plugging in to Prosper Town Council, you show up to a meeting, you're going to get nominated for something. And one night I was there and I got nominated to serve on the Town of Prosper's Comprehensive Advisory Committee. What this is, it's a think tank of 14 citizens that were chosen, and we were to meet for over 16 months and decide the growth, how Prosper was going to grow in taking everything into consideration, from transportation to lot size, housing density, economic development, parks, bikes, trails, anything that has to do with the city, town, or county's growth and success was involved in this comprehensive plan. And I tell you, that has been the real education for me, because with the first meeting, we were all, met and told by the facilitator, this is going to be your plan. You are the citizens of Prosper. Y'all are to represent, and whatever you have in mind for your town of Prosper, that's what's going to go into this plan. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that lasted for about 5 seconds, because from the first meeting, we would do some discussion on what we saw, but we were gently urged and massaged to buy into things that were really not the desires of that committee, and I know not the desires of the citizens of the 14,000 people who we were there to represent. Everything from community gardens, because the U.S. The Department of Agriculture thinks that every city and town should have a community garden. Light rail was floated out, and the first time night that was mentioned, we went around, took a quick vote. Everybody on that committee said, light rail? We moved here for elbow room. We didn't move here to live in a little Chicago. And do you know they brought in another facilitator, and in 15 minutes, he had that entire committee salivating for light rail with the promise of economic boom that would come with the light rail. And there were 3 women on the committee, and we weren't necessarily buying it. And believe me, I don't play the gender card, but it was just funny that the 3 women on there, we were kind of like scratching our heads and like, well, let's see some numbers, let's see some projections on what light rail really does, but it was never forthcoming. We never got anything as what does light rail do? Is there crime? Does light rail bring crime? Does it bring congestion? Where are these people gonna park? You know, y'all don't have this problem, but in Prosper, we're pretty landlocked. So land is valuable. Where are these people gonna park their cars if they're gonna use this light rail? So that's just one example. And through this process, I also heard this acronym, COG. We can't do this because of COG. We can't do that because of COG. You know, this can't happen. I'm like, what is COG? Is that like, you know, the man behind the curtain, the Wizard of Oz or something? What is COG? Well, I did some independent study and I found out what COG is. COG is your Council of Government. It's a voluntary regional organization that cities, towns, and counties join in order to have a bigger bargaining chip. But the problem with that, you join, but that COG gains so much power and influence that the tail starts wagging the dog syndrome. So yes, we have these regional governing bodies so everybody can get a fair shake, and you can, these huge engineering feats like transportation can be planned and developed and put forth. But where is the representation? That's the troubling thing I found. Because COG is made up of stacked boards and councils of appointed and unappointed representatives, it's very difficult in transportation to get representation. And that has been my fight. And if y'all go on my YouTube channel, it's youtube.com/Lieber Nation, you will see that I have brought this out into the light. And you know what? I'm the only one. I'm the only one. And I'm not against engineers. I'm not against planners. We need this. My problem is the voting citizenry has been cut out of the process. The Texas legislature gives authority to these regional entities to do their thing, and they report back to the legislature. But where are we in the mix? If I want to voice something on transportation, I don't feel I have anybody really representing me. And you know, there's a gentleman on Duncan, one of the commissioners, Duncan Webb. He's on the Regional Transportation Council, but he's not in my precinct. And so that's my beef with regionalism. I also see that regionalism is, we're being sold regionalism for cost effectiveness and public safety. So everything from transportation, healthcare, there's also going to be regional healthcare partnerships, and that's a very effective mechanism where Obamacare and federal agendas can be pushed down to the local level through the regionalism. And I urge each and every one of you to make note. Stanley Kurtz of the National Review at the end of last summer wrote an article on regionalism, and I asked you to Google that and read about it, because he kind of blames the Obama administration and said this is how they are so effectively pushing the federal agenda down to the local, and they are, ladies and gentlemen, they are doing it through regionalism. But it's not just the Democrats. The Republicans have been compliant and made this happen too. So it's both sides of the aisle and it's something to really watch for. And I have been a person that has been strong and pushed back against this. Many great things. That's the thing we have to watch for, and I have been the watchdog on that. But there are so many positive things happening in this county. I work in new home sales. I work for Huntington Homes at Phillips Creek Ranch. People are flocking to this, to North Texas. Now, my model home is in Denton County, but people are flocking to Collin County and Denton County. They want to be here. They're coming from out of state to raise families here. Because of the safety, the great quality of life. So we do have many good things happening. Our future is bright. Another issue I'm very optimistic on is the water issue. The pipeline has been completed from Lake Texoma to the Wiley Treatment Facility, and that happened within a year and a half. I see that as an engineering feat. And when I see, and that treatment plan is supposed to be online the summer of 2014. So when I see things like that happen that in the plans and more pipelines. I think the water, that just is proof positive that when good, innovative people put their mind to it, they can get things done. What we are going to have to watch is that when Prop 6 was passed in this last constitutional amendment election, that money, it was, I believe, $2 billion upfront money were put into a fund. It's called the State Water Improvement Fund for Texas. And we are going to have to watch that money, because there again, it's a pool of money, and cities, towns, and counties are going to apply for these funds, but they are going to, appointees are going to decide where this money goes, and it's going to be based on things like number of people, so density of your cities, towns, and counties, urgency of a project, and the degree of conservation achieved. So we are going to see going forth a trend towards really stressing conservation, and for what and the water restrictions, I don't see those going away any time soon. And all of that is perhaps necessary, but I like these type decisions made at the local level. And I think North Texas Municipal Water District does a great job. I do think they keep water local. They wholesale and sell the water to the municipalities, and they have the jurisdiction to put the price on their water. So I'm about local control. I'm about individual rights. I do look out for all the people of Collin County. Precinct 1, I will be that type of commissioner. I don't necessarily see the seat as having an R or D behind its name, because roads, bridges, infrastructure, that sort of thing, that's the nuts and bolts of how a city, town, or county operates. And yes, I'm a conservative, but I'm not going to play political games. I'm not one to politicize situations. I do my homework. I'm very hardworking. I come to a conclusion and I stand by it. So I do think I will be a wonderful county commissioner and represent the people very well. And I'll be a very hands-on, in the trenches type commissioner. And let me say one more thing about the domains that belong to the county. I have been told that I won't be the one to be county commissioner because I live out here in Prosper, and we don't have the population that my opponents have been coming from Plano and coming from Frisco. But I say, by golly, that's where the commissioner needs to be, in the fastest growing areas, Prosper, Celina, and portions of McKinney. So I reject that. I think this is where the commissioner should be. I'm going to be very accessible. I give my phone number to everybody. I engage, and here's the type of leader I'm going to be. A smart leader, you know where you end and where somebody that knows better than you or their jurisdiction picks up. And I'm not a micromanager. I want to have great interaction with my mayors, but I want to support them, but let them do their thing, because I had a conversation with Mayor Masso, and he said, good on you for running and everything, but I don't really need the county the way some of the other municipalities do. And I appreciated him being so forthright, and he's absolutely right. So as a county commissioner, I will be there to support and do the business of the unincorporated and support the mayors and the municipalities, but also hands off and let them do their thing. Partner with them when they need me, but not dictate. Just, understand that these municipalities are sovereign, and they have their ideas on how they want to grow, and they should absolutely be supported in that, but be left to do that. So with that, I've talked a long time. I'm not a fan of the stump speech, but I would love to entertain any questions from the audience.